Today I'm going to show you how to make the new adult take and make multi-purpose bookmarks. You can see modeled on this book that these bookmarks are capable of marking, well, this one has up to 12 pages at the same time. But depending on how many ribbons you have, you can increase that number or decrease it depending on how many pages you find yourself wanting to mark on a regular basis. I always have the struggle of wanting to look back at indexes and maps and charts and character introductions as I'm reading, and having to flip through to find the page. And I don't like those tiny little sticky notes that are commonly used for this purpose because it makes me feel bad when I throw them away at the end. So I wanted to make something reusable, and this is very easy. It's just made out of ribbons, jump ring, and beads. It's modeled at the moment on this book, Art is Life by Jerry Saltz, which is new to the library, in case that interests you. But you can see I can just flip through and put these ribbons up and down. Got to carefully extricate it from the book. These beads are actually not essential to the function of the bookmark. They're more decorative, and they can actually cause problems if your book is too large. Like this one is too big for this size of bookmark that I made, because if I hung it down, the bead hits in the middle of the page. So if you want your bookmark to be more adaptable for different sizes of books and mark the really huge hefty ones as opposed to just the normal size and smaller ones, then you may want to leave the beads off. But in any case, it's useful to learn how to string beads. Just in case your necklace breaks or you want to make a similar project in the future. Okay. There. And one more I lost at the beginning. Oh, marked so many pages. Okay. So now you can see it's a jump ring with these ribbons doubled over, tied with a lark's head knot, which is very easy to remove. You see, you just pull on it and there we go, that one is removed. In case you find yourself needing to switch out the ribbons for any reason, it's very simple. And then you can tie it back on in less than a second. It's not going to fall off either, even if it gets a bit loose because of how long these are. If these were tiny, short little ribbons, you might worry about just using the lark's head knot to secure them. You might want to add a dab of glue, but that's really not necessary here. So I am going to start. I've got my fresh jump ring. I've got some green ribbon. I have got some number beads this time, which have a nice large hole as compared to my ribbon. That's gonna fit. I had some smaller beads and they would not work. They were too itty bitty. I have a pair of scissors for cutting my ribbon down to size. And I have, just in case I am struggling with stringing the beads, I have a blunt needle with a fairly large eye, which fits through my bead so that I can string the ribbon onto the needle and then pass that through the bead rather than fighting with just the bead. All right. So let's say that I want to make a bookmark which will fit this size book or smaller. Then the first thing I want to do is take my ribbon, and I want it to be as long as the book, two times, and then some extra for the knot and hang out for the beads. And then I can cut several lengths. I've got 10 beads here, but I think I am only going to go with 3 lengths of ribbon for a total of 6 bookmarks. I can measure that using the length of ribbon I've previously cut by just lining up the ends, spooling it out between my fingers. Okay, so there's that end. And these don't need to be exact lengths. It's very approximate. So let me grab just one more. So there are my 3 lengths of ribbon. You can see twice as long and a little bit extra than my book. And I am going to take the first ribbon and my jump ring. I'm going to take this ribbon and fold it in half. Again, it's just approximate, but you know, just generally lining up the ends gets it nice and neat looking. Going to place the jump ring on top of my folded ribbon near the folded end here, and then I'm going to take the ends, pass them through the jump ring and through the folded loop. Then pull, and that makes a lark's head knot. There we go, so that's attached. Now I'm going to repeat it for ribbons number 2 and 3. So folded in half, jump ring on top of the folded end, put the ribbons through, loop and the jump ring, pull it tight. Okay, And one more. Fold it in half. The jump ring over that. Stick the ends through both the jump ring and the folded loop. Okay, so now I have my 3 ribbons tied on. We've got 6 long strands coming off for me to mark with. And I can set about stringing my beads. So again, let me just make sure that this is going to be far enough down. Okay, so I don't have very much room to work with here. Let's see what we can do. So this is a wide ribbon, but it's also flat, which means that you can fold it to get it through an itty bitty hole like this. So I'm going to try to do it with my fingers first, but then I've always got the needle if that doesn't work. Okay, so that was pretty easy. So now in order to, no. I'm going to put another bead on, I think. Because there is enough room. And I don't need to secure every bead that I put on. You know, this one up here, maybe I want to slide around. I can secure it if I like, but the one that I really need to secure is this one here at the bottom to make sure that they don't slide off. So let's see if I can use the first method of locking in this bead, where I take this bit that's sticking out of the end, out of the bottom of the bead, and I loop it back around and go back inside the bead. So right now, I'm folding the ribbon, and I'm going to try and stick it inside this little, it's kind of like a slide, this little tunnel of ribbon that I've got going on. To see if I can get it in that way. It helps to scoot the beads up the ribbon farther than you're planning to have them at the end, just so that you have more to work with here at, as the tail. Okay. So, attempting to slide this in. Okay, it's gone through. So now I've got basically a loop. And I'm going to pull on this tail and pull on this number 8 bead. Keep them in place in relation to each other, because this is about as much tail as I would like for the beads. And I'm going to pull on this long bit which is connected to the jump ring to make that loop get smaller. Okay. So now we've got that locked in. Totally secure. It's like I've just tied a knot, including the bead. Then we can slide this first bead back down to meet it. Wonderful. Okay. But what would happen if I hadn't been able to get the ribbon through the little hole in the bead more than once? Well, there is another option. So I am going to, actually, I think I will demonstrate stringing with my needle. So I'm going to put this through my eye of my needle flat, then going to take my new bead, put it over the needle, pull it through, and then pull the ribbon off of the needle. So now I've got the number 7 strung on there. And let's do one more. I could have kept the ribbon strung on the needle to do more on the same ribbon. That was kind of foolish of me to take it off. In fact, I'll do another as well, just to show you. That's not an essential part of stringing it on. There we go, see? And now I can take the needle off. So I've got 3 on here, and oh no, the hole is too small for me to get this staying ribbon back through. So what instead I'm going to do is a very simple solution. I am going to tie a little knot. So I've just basically got this length of ribbon, and I'm twisting it to make an X, putting the end through. It's just a normal knot. It's just like how you tie your shoelaces or anything. It's just that there's only one string involved. I believe this is called an overhand knot. Scooching it down to the end where I want it, tightening it. And now I can scooch my beads up to meet it. Okay. They're secured, except what if the hole in the bead is big enough that my knot will just pass right through? That's not secure. That'll just fall right off. Well then, what I do is get my beads back out of the way, tie another knot right on top of the first one. So do the same thing. Make a loop of this one string, cross it to make an X, pass the end through the loop, and be very careful as you tighten it up to aim that new knot right on top of the old one, so that you have one large knot rather than 2 tiny little eeny beeny ones that are just gonna have your beads falling right off of it. Okay. So there we are. And that goes there. It is very beginner friendly, and it is very useful as far as crafts go. I'm sometimes worried that, I'll make a craft and it'll be fun to make, but then I'll just have it sitting around taking up space and not really doing any good. But, this, it's fun and easy to make. It's pretty. It's, could probably entertain a cat or a baby with it if you wanted. It's useful for marking every single thing that you love about a book. And if you don't have a book that it's in at the moment, say you're on your way to the library, you're about to check one out, you can just put it on your keys because it's a jump ring. I think it's fun. I hope you enjoy it. Bye-bye.